This tutorial is about using Microsoft Forms, specifically within Microsoft Teams. From within our Teams, since we are in the online version in the browser, we click on the white waffle in the top left corner, which turns into a little black waffle. I don't see Forms listed here. You may have Show All Apps right underneath of here, in which case if you click there, it will be listed alphabetically. My version does not have that, so I click on Office 365. And this takes me to a longer list of apps. And again, I could click on all apps and see the alphabetical list here, but I do have Forms right here. So I'm going to click on Forms. Microsoft Forms are online. It's a way to create surveys and quizzes. And I'm going to go ahead and click a new one. Let me backtrack here. If I go back to Forms, you can choose to make it a form or a quiz. By form, that means no answer key. So these are polls and surveys. And quizzes and forms have the exact same question types, just the form doesn't have an answer key and the quiz does. So we're going to look specifically at quizzes, and we'll take a look at the different question types. So when I choose add new, that means add a new type of question. So multiple choice can also be multiple answers. So multiple choice by default only has one correct answer, but I can switch and tell it that more than one is correct. And I can also turn a multiple choice. If I don't turn it into a multiple answer question, I can turn a multiple choice into a drop down. For text questions, you can have long or short space to answer in. And then rating, as well as rating and ranking are very similar in terms of what one you can rate by stars, the other by numbers. And the Likert is a little bit different. You can, for example, put in here names of characters and here character traits. So it can be more like a matching activity as well as another variation of a rating. All right. Other question types are, you can have one where the answer has to be a date specifically. Let's take a look at file upload for a little bit. So I have not used this one before in this account, so it's going to tell me that a new folder will be created here for responses to go to. Right. And when you do a file upload, you can choose anywhere from 1 to 10 files, and each of which can have 10, 100 megabytes, or 1 full gigabyte in file size. So pretty large, probably videos if you're getting that big. So what happens here is when you ask the question, students actually upload something. So one use case for this, I point this out when I'm doing Minecraft trainings, if students take screenshots or export their PDFs of certain things they do in Minecraft, this is a way to collect those very easily, is to use the file upload here. Right. And the most common one, though, will probably be the multiple choice, so we'll go there first. So you can ask your question, and if you ask something like, what day of the week, notice that it prompts you to, you can add all of your days of the week here. And actually, if you don't need the weekends, you can go back in there and delete those. So it does make suggestions. And since this is multiple choice in a quiz, I get to say, hey, this is the correct answer. If I want more than one correct answer, I could say Tuesdays and Thursdays are both good. Right? If I leave that as one correct answer, then this is where I can switch to drop down instead. And where drop down becomes particularly useful is if you look at the preview on a mobile screen, that just displays a lot better on mobile than a regular multiple choice will. With all question types in a quiz, you can give a number of points. You can choose whether any question is required or not. And you can also choose whether to shuffle these, so different students will see the answer choices in a different order. If this is in math, then I can actually switch any field to math instead. Actually, let's add a whole new question there. We'll do a multiple choice, and we will make this one math. All right, so notice it says enter an equation. Now when I click in this box, I can use math symbols instead. If I come back here and then click ABC again, it turns this into regular text. So I can't, and notice that kind of messes it up. You can't add text and math symbols in the same field. So if this is math, then I need to leave it as math. This one is, because the question is math, by default the answer choices will be a math field. If I actually want text there instead, if I have an equation here, but my answer is I want to write out the words greater than, then I need to switch to ABC. So this is always showing what to switch to. This one I can switch to text because it's currently a math box. This one I can switch to math because it's currently set as a text field. Also in math questions, this is a subtitle, but in a math question, this is where you write your equation. So again, if I just go to another multiple choice, and this one is not a math question, this is subtitle. So this is further clarification of my question. Once I create some questions, if I have similar questions, I can also choose to duplicate those. Here I can copy this question. I can reorder questions by moving them up and down. So we showed you the preview a little bit earlier. You can also do themes, so you can add colors. You can even upload your own image in the background. Sharing. So if I need to duplicate this to share with others, I can. So this would be to share with a colleague. This would be to collaborate on designing the form with a colleague. But if I simply need to share this with others to take it, then I can share it with absolutely anyone if that's turned on for your district, or just people within your organization. And you copy that and you can paste that link anywhere that your respondents will access it. Since we are specifically looking at how to use this within a class team, then you're probably going to want to leave this as only people within your organization can respond. Since you will need to be logged into your organization to be in this team anyway, then anybody who's on the team should be able to access that. So you can paste the link right here, and that way students can come in here and click on that and take the quiz right within Teams. You can also click up here and click on Forms, and you can create one here, or you can search for ones that you have recently made. I didn't name either of these, but this was the one that we just made because it's at the top. If you choose to post to the channel about this tab as well, then you will have the tab showing it, and you will also have in the posts yet another example of that form. So again, I like to use this for either things that are always important and they're always going to stay up here, or just what we're using today. So this is a convenient way to get to today's work. Once we're done with today's work, and I'm going to put other things up here in the tabs tomorrow, then I can go in here and remove it, but it will still remain here for students to be able to refer back to. Once students have completed the form, then I can click to see responses. And besides having responses here, I can also open them in Excel. And depending on the types of questions you're asking, sometimes this display I find is more informative. But if it's a quiz with a lot of multiple choice and open-ended questions, then more likely opening it in Excel is going to be a better view. Actually, a couple other things that you can do within forms is you can add sections. So sections don't have any questions, but sections are a good place to just enter a lot of text or simply an image or video. Keep in mind that images can include maps, graphs, tables. So the idea with sections is you put in some content, like a passage of text or a graph, and then you add all of your questions underneath that have to do with that content. And then you go and add a new section, with your next reading passage, your next graph or chart, and then you ask the questions about that section. Okay, so that is one fairly recent tool just in the last year within Microsoft Forms, is those sections. And particularly with the ability to add reading passages here, it makes Immersive Reader really valuable, and that's going to be our next tutorial, how to use Immersive Reader within Teams. But Immersive Reader in Forms, when you have sections of reading passages, is really powerful. And the last really cool thing I want to show you in Microsoft Forms is the ability to do branching. So once you've added all of your questions, then you can turn on branching. If you need to edit questions, you need to turn branching off. Some question types only allow you to choose, no matter what you answer, which question you're going to go to. And other question types, particularly multiple choice, will allow you to select a different location based on your answer. So if this was a form or poll giving opinions, like one example is that the first one that I made with branching was having teachers rate food trucks at an event. And so the first question was, did you use any of the food trucks? If your answer was no, then you were sent to a question asking, well, what kept you from that? Was it cost, selection, brought your own lunch, whatever? If your answer was yes, then you start going down a list of, well, did you buy on Monday? And we'd have the name of Monday's truck. And again, based on your answer, that would send you to a rating of that or on to the next day's. Another example here would be, this is a tough question. If you get it right, you go on to a tougher question. If you get it wrong, you go on to either an easier question or one that's the same level of difficulty as this. So different ways to use branching. It's really easy to set up, particularly from these multiple choice questions. Absolutely any answer choice, you can go to absolutely any question. There's not, you don't really have to plan ahead and create sections and things to do this. It's just any multiple choice answer takes you to any multiple choice question. So that one's a little bit more elaborate, but we're going to go back into Teams and show you one other way to use forms. If you click on the Assignments tab, when you go to create a new assignment, one of your options is to create a quiz. Now, it's a little bit misleading there. It could be a quiz or a poll, but if this is an assignment, most likely it's going to be a quiz. And all this does is ask you to choose an existing form. So it just shows ones that you've recently made. Or if you click on New Form, it opens the Forms page. Okay, so it takes you directly to Microsoft Forms to create a new one. But if you've already created it, then you can just add it right here. And then it becomes like any other assignment within Teams. You have a lot of options for who it's assigned to, when it's due. Your due dates, like any other assignment in Teams, can be a hard due date where nothing can be turned in afterwards, or a soft due date where it's kind of a target, but you don't cut it off until later. Can go to all your students or just select students, again, like any other assignment within Teams. Several different ways to use forms within Microsoft Teams. You can add a tab with that form, you can add it as a post, or you can go into assignments. So 3 different ways to add forms to your class team.